Welcome to Shit Black Girls Watch podcast, where we break down film, sex, and black girl magic one episode at a time. I'm your co-host Mia Danae, here with my bestie Trish, and we are back on the mic to give you the real on what's worth watching, what had us screaming at the screen, and why black women always bring the flavor to the culture.
I know that's right. We're talking deep dives, wild takes, and a whole lot of laughter. All from two besties who love TV just a little too much. If the world is watching it, we're definitely talking about it. And we're probably talking shit too. Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is a special episode because we are talking about the 25th anniversary of the release of Bring It On, which is crazy. Like, it's been 25 years that came out in 2000, because that movie, it set a tone. It set a tone for black women. I feel like we hadn't seen black women on screen like that in a while. I feel like Gabrielle Union has always set the tone of this amazingly strong black woman, but still gives softness and sexiness. Like, she's not too intimidating where she can't be accepted in white spaces, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Kirsten Dunst has always given white American schoolgirl.
Kirsten Dunst was perfect for Bring It On.
She had said that in an interview where somebody had asked her which role in her career felt the most like her, and she said Bring It On was that role, because I think she said she was just playing her 16-year-old self, and because it was so relevant. She was a cheerleader, her best friend was a cheerleader, because that was the way her life was set up at the time. She was like, that felt the most like I wasn't playing a role and I was just showing up on screen as myself, which I thought was cool.
I love that. So let's take it back before we get into the deep dives of the things that we found out about Bring It On. Let's talk about, just in case no one's seen, what Bring It On is, what this cult classic is about, which is basically about two cheerleading teams, the Toros and the Clovers. The Toros is a white cheerleading team. They are from a predominantly wealthy and white high school, and the Clovers are from, I believe, Compton, East Compton. And basically, come to find out, the Toros have been stealing the cheers of the Clovers for years. And mind you, the Toros are world champion cheerleading team. So Torrance, who's Kirsten Dunst's character, she becomes cheer captain of the Toros and finds out that they basically been stealing cheers for all these years. And she's horrified, and she's on her white ally, where she wants to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and that the Clovers have a fair chance of competing against them in cheerleading world championships.
Yep. And I think it's important to note, the Clovers in the movie, the black team from, what is it, East Compton?
Yeah.
They want very much to be the best, but they want to be the best on their own merit. They want to be the best because they're the best, not because someone realized and started feeling guilty and sad. Mm-hmm. They wanted to be the best on their own merit. And technically they were.
So I want to get your response and opinion about rewatching Bring It On after all of these years.
I feel like, and that's a good question, because we did rewatch it. I felt like it held up. I felt like
it actually really did hold up, because, and I'm going to compare it to Clueless, because when I rewatched Clueless, I was this is disgusting.
It was so cringy. I've come so far as a society.
I will say that there were a few moments with Bring It On where they said the F word a few times. Yeah. But besides that, it held its own. I could show this to my kid now.
I think it held its own. I think it was probably maybe one of the first movies I can think of, as far as a mainstream hit like that portrayed women in kind of this multifaceted way. Mm-hmm. A diverse representation of women, because you had tomboys, you had the girly girls, you had the mean girls, you had Torrance, who was, manic pixie fairy type. You had the black women who were portrayed. I thought they did a really good job of portraying black women in a way that wasn't stereotypical or tropey and Bring It On. They were all well spoken. I mean, minus, there was a diverse representation there.
Yeah.
Girl from
the group Black.
Yeah, she was a little feisty, but even that, like, there was something for everybody in there. I don't think
Which
humor.
is a good point because I think you have put in our trivia. Do you know or you didn't know
Mhm.
that the script, the Clover dialogue, was actually
Yep.
very like black exploitative? Is that the word? Um, and they had to adjust the lines. But the fact that they allowed them to adjust the
Yep.
lines, I don't know if Gabrielle Union just took it upon herself to change the lines, or if it was like a conversation with the writers. But
Mhm.
regardless, I'm glad that Black women had a voice and how they're going to sound in this movie.
Yeah, Gabby had talked about in an interview with the cast. It was like her, Missy, Kirsten Dunst, and the guy who played the brother. I don't remember his name, but they had talked about in an interview or whatever that when she first read the script, she was like, it was a little, like you said, black exploitation. She was like, somebody was like, oh, what? And she was like, who talks like that? So they did. She said that's actually why she took the role, was because they had like a commitment to diversity, and apparently that's always been important in Gabby's career, which I really fucked with. She was like, that's a little, she felt icky about it. So she wasn't
Mm-hmm.
allowed to change the dialogue. And I think that's why they come off like, that's why Gabby's character at least comes off so classy, is because she did have a little bit more control over how she was represented in the movie. Um, and that was also like at the time that Bring It On came out, Sugar and Spice came out, I think. And Sugar and Spice was that movie, cheerleading movie about the she got pregnant. It was the one chick, she got pregnant.
Girl, I do not remember this movie. Let me
Girl,
look this up.
it was such a good movie. I mean, it was good as in it was entertaining, but I remember watching it, and basically the head cheerleader gets pregnant. It's a white girl, and she convinces her teammates who like totally love her to rob a bank. And Gabby,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, when did that come out?
I vaguely remember this. That came out in 2001, so a year
So,
after
yeah,
Bring It On.
so they were probably in production at the same time. So Gabby had actually auditioned for Sugar and Spice and was supposed to be in that, but she felt like Bring It On had more of a commitment to diversity, and she had more control over how Black people would be represented if they were represented at all, and that's why she ended up in Bring It On instead of Sugar and Spice.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I thought that her reasoning in having that type of morality and integrity, even at the start of your career, when you know it's like kind of hard to have your integrity because you want to come up and you're hungry. I thought that that spoke a lot to Gabby's character.
And I feel like I'm curious to know what role she would have played in Sugar and Spice. Like,
I,
would she have actually been a cheerleader, or she would have just been like a supporting character? You know what I'm saying? Like someone not like Bring It On she was a lead
yeah.
character.
Well, people have talked about that as far as how the Clovers are represented in Bring It On, and we had joked about it when we rewatched it that the Clovers should have had their own spinoff movie, and we should have
Yes,
a different
they could have had
perspective.
a whole TV
Yeah.
series.
So somebody was doing like a kind of a video essay on Bring It On, and they were talking about how the Clovers were kind of like a subplot in their own story. So we're
Mm-hmm.
hearing the story of the Clovers, but we're kind of hearing it through the eyes of Torrance and the Toros. So they were talking about I guess they were trying to position Gabby, like, was she a lead or was she a supporting actress in Bring It On? Even though she felt
Mm-hmm.
like a lead and the Clover story was front and center, who gets to tell Black stories was kind of the question, and how are they told?
That's valid because we did learn about who the Clovers were through the other cheerleading team. So I get that, but I consider the movie to be Kirsten Dunst and Gabrielle
You
Union.
too.
I don't know any of the other cheerleaders, like the
Yep.
supporting cheerleaders. So she was a lead in my eyes.
Well, the
Um,
girl who played Missy, she was actually recruited, I think, because of her role in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because she played Faith in Buffy. I don't know if you watch Buffy. I
yeah, yeah.
and when
She was what's Misty's name? Because she was that girl back in the day.
I think her name is hard to pronounce, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to.
She was like in everything.
It's like was it Eliza? Um,
Eliza Dushku.
I mean, if
Oh,
you
sorry. I'm not thinking about Misty. I'm thinking about Red.
Big Red, I
Big
don't
Red.
what
I
she
feel like she was in everything in the 2000s.
what
Like I would always see her in supporting roles. In her name is Lindsay Sloan.
Oh, I have no idea, girl. I've only ever heard Big Red and Bring It On, so I had no idea. But yeah, people were just talking about kind of like how do you tell how do you tell like the Clover stories? And I really genuinely feel like when we rewatched it, we were like, this would have been fantastic, because I think the Clovers did a great job of representing Black women in a way that wasn't stereotypical. Like Gabby seemed almost suburban in the way she presented in that movie, the class,
Yeah, for sure.
the way she carried herself. And if they didn't say they were from East Compton, I would have just assumed they was from another school in the area, and just, you know, they just Black and we just got it like that. That's all we can say about it. But
what was also really funny to me is that there were no like administrators ever in this movie. Like, who was the head? Like, they just ran the whole cheerleading team. They discussed the finances. They hired the awful coaches that taught them choreography. Like, there are no administrators in this team or in this movie in general, which to me was really funny. Now being an adult.
Even at East Compton, there was no adults. They had Paula, who was Oprah, to get like funding or whatever. They had talked about that in that interview as well, where they were like, did y'all think that this was going to be like such a cult classic? As like, did y'all know when y'all were in production what this was going to be? And they were all like, no. They actually said that they feel like the production company, or like where they were doing like the where they were filming, they were like, I don't think they had any idea what we were down there doing. We were just kind of doing whatever felt right and having a good time with it. But I don't think anybody expected it to be what it was going to be. I think there was other movies coming out that year, and they had like bigger things they were working on. So everybody with the execs were just like, yeah, give them what they need and like leave them alone.
But I don't think any actor ever thinks that the film is going to be a cult classic unless you're working with like a star director at the time, like Tarantino or like Spike Lee. Then you might be like, oh, this could be a legendary film.
So
but
comes the question, right? Why do you think Bring It On became the classic that it is?
I feel like there are a few things. I think one, we were not used to seeing Black cheerleaders competing on like high levels and high stakes, like cheerleading to the point where they actually know gymnastics. They're doing backflips. Like, I started watching gymnastics competitions after this film. I would watch it on ESPN. I watched all the competitions. Like, I was really into it. And so I know you weren't, but I was a sports girl back then. But like, the fact that we got to see these Black women that were talented, that were smart, well spoken, that were seen in a way that they weren't just taking favors from white people. They actually had like their own autonomy in this film. Like, they were able to make their own decisions about how they were going to get to the championship and how they were going to do things. So I feel like that definitely plays a role in it. But I think it's the cheerleading aspect was not as big as it was until we saw this film.
I agree. I think that if we're thinking about it through the lens of like, I mean, everybody loves an underdog story.
For sure.
It's like, it's a true underdog story where the Clovers, they don't get, and I love that they didn't go the white savior route, because that was the potential, right? One of the I was watching was talking about this. Like, there was so many opportunities for Torrance to save them, either through white guilt or white saviorism, where she's just like, I'm swooping in to get you guys to where you need to be and uplift you. But we didn't see that. And at that time, it was real easy to do because nobody was thinking about white saviorism and stuff like that the way we think about it now, as far as like critical race theory. So at the time, it could have been real easy for them to, like, for Kirsten Dunst to be like, Daddy, I need you to write the check. And the fact that we got to see her go through all the trouble of getting the money and then rejecting it, I liked it even more, because it's like, nobody asked you to do that. We're good. We're going to get there on our own merit. We're going to beat merit. And they stood on business when it came to that.
And they had so much faith in the fact that they would figure that shit out. Like, because low key, I might have been like, just take the check. Like, even if you don't cash it, just take it, sis. Like,
I think that was also me watching it from the lens of now, where Black women are tired. And I'm hard for Paula to have to write letters and be on TV, get no money. Take the damn check and go beat them. But like, you wouldn't have been here. It's something that people can hold over your head, right? And as
for
Black,
sure.
Like, I don't even like borrowing money from people for that reason. Like, I don't want you to have nothing to hold over my head. So even had they won in nationals, it's like Torrance and the Toros could have been like, well, you would have never made it to nationals if it wasn't for like my daddy or something like that.
For sure. So I want to go back to the cheerleading aspect of it because I was really curious. Like when we were watching this film, I was like, how many of these actors actually knew how to cheer before they were casted, or how many of these backgrounds actors were actually like professional gymnasts or whatever the case may be. So supposedly, who was it? Missy had no like professional dancing, cheerleading, gymnastics experience, which I feel like we can kind of tell
A little bit.
when she was learning the dance moves with the spirit fingers. Like, whoo, a little rough for Misty there. But so the producers basically didn't make a priority. Like they just wanted to know that you had some type of base level of physical inclination, which I don't even know what that means. To me, that sounds like you just know how to walk with a right and a left foot. Like you don't have two left feet. You know what I'm saying?
With two left feet, I don't know what okay. I ain't got no rhythm. So I mean, I wouldn't have been a good cheerleader in general. So all of that shit looked different. Like there, even with the least amount of experience, anybody could have walked on there and done a little bit, and they would have been fucking
better than you.
Here's to me. I'm like, wow, you've really done this before, huh? They said that during the audition process that everybody that came had to come prepared with like their own cheer and shit. I would have fucked that up.
That's actually cute. That's cute.
But like I don't know what I would have done. I guess I don't know. Aggressive.
So they also said the only people that didn't have to prove their cheerleading skills were the R&B group Black, because they had just dropped their debut album, which blew up. And so yeah, they were like, we need y'all. Like they're basically the influencers of the film at the time. So they didn't have to even know any type of cheerleading skills, which you kind of see. Like they wasn't really doing anything crazy. It was so funny. I was watching some clip with Gabrielle Union, and she was talking about how she was like off beat while they were doing stuff, which to me, she didn't look off beat, but she was like, if you look at those wide shots, she was like, I'm a little off beat. I was like, maybe they covered it up well.
Yeah.
Never would have known.
I thought she did phenomenal. I thought they had all at least been professional cheerleaders or had to have some cheer experience before. And apparently, you know, Kirsten Dunst, like she said, she was a cheerleader. Her best friend was a cheerleader. So she came from that background. But
yeah, well, I was actually about to say a lot of the other actors did have some type of background in cheerleading. They also mentioned band, which to me is like, what's that have to do with cheerleading? Damn. But yes, it was like they had some type of experience in cheerleading or band, and I was like, well, what's that have to do with anything?
But think about when you were in marching band, right? There is a lot of choreography involved in marching band. That's why I didn't do it.
There is. You're right. There's a lot of counting your steps, timing, and knowing. There. When it comes to knowing where to be on a field, you're right. Like that is a skill,
and that is why I stuck to like Solange ensemble, where and then you play your little clarinet in a private room and some shit like that, because I knew marching band was not for me.
But what I did find cool is that one, all the actors had to undergo a 4-week cheerleading training intensive to prepare for their roles, which makes sense. But I think the part that I thought was cool was that the school that they recorded at, filmed at, which was where was the school at? It was in some part of California. But technically the school, in San Diego, it was called Academy of Our Lady Peace. A lot of the background actors were actually from that school. Like they were cheerleaders in that school, and they got to be background cheerleaders for the film. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I would be interested in what that did for the school long term, as far as like knowing that those cheerleaders in that movie and what that movie became for like, especially millennials.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone, pretty much. Like, I would be interested to know how that affected the school long term, because I work in education, so I'm like, did y'all get some money? Y'all get some residuals? Like, what's happening? Do y'all give back to the school? Or y'all like number one in something? So, I will say, my fun fact that I learned while researching this movie.
What was it?
So in the movie, Torrance makes a comment because, the whole idea of this movie is how kind of like freaked out cheerleaders can be, because it was actually originally supposed to be titled Cheer Fever, which would have made a lot of sense with the chaos of how like seriously these girls were taking cheer. In it, there's like the whole like famous line of like, this is a cheerocracy or something like that. And they're all like super serial about the auditions and like they're just really like intense about cheerleading. And one of the like back and forths with like, one of the supporting characters, Torrance was talking about how like some moms would kill or something to get their kids onto a cheer.
Oh my God, yeah. When you told me this, I was like, what? Okay, tell us.
So basically, she was like, I think the rebuttal in the movie was kind of like, well, she didn't kill anyone. She just hired someone or something like that. But the whole point was a reference to this woman named Wanda Holloway, who in 1991, and I hope I'm getting this story right, so somebody correct me if I'm not, basically she paid her ex-brother-in-law, or alluded to paying her ex-brother-in-law, to kill the mom of a 14-year-old girl who kept beating her daughter to get on the cheer team. So this 14-year-old girl narrowly made it onto the cheer team. Had this 14-year-old girl not made it, Wanda's daughter would have made it. So Wanda, I guess, being super serial about cheering, made some type of allusion to the ex-brother-in-law with some diamond earrings. It was like, I sure would not. It would be great if I never seen her again. Like if I never seen so-and-so's mom again. And he was like, yo, what? So he immediately told, saying like a fucking canary. But basically, she was hoping that he would kill the mom of the 14-year-old. The 14-year-old would be so devastated that she would end up quitting the team and creating space for her daughter, Wanda's daughter, to join the team. I thought that shit.
Look, that's insane. But if you're gonna be diabolical, be fucking diabolical. Don't be giving no like little hints here and there. Hire the hitman. I know you got the bread, like. I'm not condoning murder, but I'm just saying if you're gonna be diabolical and crazy, go all the way out. Like that's insane.
And be a professional about it. If you're gonna offer somebody, offer them don't do diamond earrings. Pull out the stack of cash, slide it over, slide the murder weapon with it. That's how you allude to a murder.
But she didn't even case the right person, because obviously he was still cool with the moms. Like he wasn't cool with murder. Like you got to know that this guy's a little crazy. Like he would actually do it. You know what I'm saying?
You find somebody that's maybe killed before.
That's what I'm saying.
A cousin, and that cousin, a little unhinged. So it's like, if you know somebody who knows a guy, or you could go the horrible bosses route where they just found some guy on Craigslist or met Jamie Foxx. So you like, there's a couple of different ways you could do it. But I just feel like she didn't go full. And then also like, I never want to see the mom again. Like, give me a little bit more than that. I think she was probably trying to, what she was probably trying to do? She was probably trying to dip a toe and see
how he respond.
Yeah, that way she could get out of it. If he was like, you're being fucking nuts and I'm going to the police, she'd be like, oh, that's not what I meant.
Or if he was like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What are we talking? Start taking those earrings out. What are we talking about right now? Like, if you're gonna do it all the way. Don't half-ass, murder, but don't also murder.
But this reminds me, since I said diabolical, this reminds me of the scammer coach that they hired.
Had there been any adults whatsoever, that probably could have been avoided.
But when he came in there with those audition moves and those spirit fingers, like that took me out. Like I forgot how hilarious all of that was.
These are spirit fingers. These are gold.
Bruh, that's so crazy. So a little bit of behind the scenes. The choreographer for the film was called Hi Hat. And supposedly they worked for Missy Elliott and Mary J. Blige. So I feel like that's why Clovers had that swag to their cheering. And honestly, the Toros, they came back strong with their choreography, like after they got rid of the scammer guy, but they came back strong. And I feel like they had a little like
stuff though, and jazz band, like they did jazz.
Yeah, they was like tapping into all the different genres, and I was like, I appreciated that. It was cute.
So my new question, because they did tap into a couple of ethnic dancing, where
there's an appropriation.
They still appropriating, like salsa, bachata. They did like all kinds of shit. Swing dance. I feel like belongs to the lesser melanated. But I mean, there's still like there's a little bit of appropriation there, but whatever.
I don't know. I kind of felt that way at first when we were rewatching it, and I was like, they're still stealing shit.
I feel like that's, I guess, inspiration. And at that point, I feel like you have to everybody gets inspiration from somewhere. So how diabolical is it at that point to be now going to another school and recording them like Big Red was doing with a fucking VHS tape? That was nasty.
That was nasty work. But I feel like dance, just like how people say music is like the universal language, I feel like dance is also like similar. Where yes, it comes from different areas and cultures, but like anybody can do it. Like it brings together so many people. So I don't feel like they were necessarily appropriating jazz and all these other things.
I think they did a really good job of handling like race in that movie, to be fair. Like I don't feel like they approached it from like this, we need to talk about race. It was more like, hey, this is a thing, and this is a really interesting way to talk about appropriation. And it's not like there's no fun way to talk about appropriation. Let me say that. But like, it is a different way, a unique and more creative way to talk about appropriation in a way that was digestible to a lot of people. I think that's why so many people related to it. Do you want to talk about your surprise fact when we were rewatching it and you thought there was only one Bring It On?
No.
And you thought there was only one of them bitches?
No. I knew there was more than one, but I didn't know there are as many as there are, which is insane. There are 7 sequels to Bring It On.
I feel like I only watched it. I watched Bring It On. I watched Bring It On. What was it? All or Nothing with Hayden Panettiere and Solange.
So wait, hold on. Let me list all of the Bring It Ons, okay? So there's Bring It On Again, which came out in 2004. Like these movies were coming out almost every year. Yeah. So there's Bring It On, All or Nothing, 2006. That one stars Solange. There's Bring It On, In It to Win It, that came out in 2007. There's Bring It On, Fight to the Finish. That one starred Christina Milian and had like a little spotlight with Rihanna. Then there's Bring It On Worldwide, #Cheer Smack, which came out in 2017. That one actually had a cameo with Vivica Fox. Then there is Bring It On Cheer or Die 2022, which is actually a horror version of the Bring It Ons.
Kristen Dunst back for that?
I think so.
That's crazy. She's done the Virgin Suicide. She's won awards and she came back. She's been in Spider-Man. She came back for Bring It All, Cheer or Die. That's
you know? But yeah, I was dumbfounded when you told me that. You were like, there's like 5 of them. I was like, what?
And I vaguely remember the second one. I remember Bring It On, All or Nothing, because obviously, you know, I was a fan of Solange at the time, and Hayden actually. That one reminded me of the reverse of the original, where instead of the white stealing the black stuff, the white girl, you know what it reminds me of? Save the Last Dance, where Hayden at a black school. And it's kind of weird because there's some points in there that are kind of like nasty. Like I remember one of the black guys that she was working. It was almost like if Save the Last Dance and Step Up had a baby.
So that sounds very accurate. So let me read the movie synopsis. So it says, when her father gets laid off, Hayden's character has to drop out and transfer to her ritzy high school's underfunded crosstown rival. And at her new school, Brittany is recruited. That's Hayden's character. Brittany is recruited for the cheerleading squad, where Solange Knowles' character Camille is the head coach, a tough coach, and Brittany struggles to win the respect of her peers as they prepare to face off against the squad at her old school for a chance to dance back up for Rihanna in her next music video. So the stakes are high.
Like there was so many like random fucking dance breaks in that movie. That's why it's reminding me of Step Up too, and Save the Last Dance when Julia Stiles was learning how to do hip. This was where they were. That was the level that they were like living at. Where Julia Stiles started at and Save the Last Dance was where they lived. like I was saying, like there was some weird moments where I remember one of the black guys was like, you know, you're a white girl here at our school or something like that. You should be the angriest of them all. And I was like, Joe King, respect yourself. Respect where you come from. Like, why are you saying stuff like that? Like she should feel bad about having to be there or something. Either way, I feel like none of them were as memorable or as impactful as the original Bring It On. But that one I remember specifically because it was so like we've seen this before, but it was Save the Last Dance.
Yeah, I agree. The only one I would actually want to see is the horror version, but I read the reviews. They looked awful.
Oh,
But yeah, they were just saying that the horror aspect didn't really mesh with obviously the cheerleading storyline. So
like, is there a cheer competition going on while people are getting killed?
So this is the synopsis. When members of a cheerleading squad disappear while practicing their routine in an abandoned school, the remaining few must band together to unmask the assailant. First of all, why y'all in an abandoned school practicing?
And yeah, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want that. Even though I do love a good horror movie, and as long as a horror movie is rated at least a 4.0 or above on a 10 scale, I'll probably watch it. Shout out to Shudder. But I will say, one, I would like that Clover perspective. Like, is there a black cheerleading movie?
No, not that I could think of. The closest thing I feel like we have are the reality TV shows, like the dancing. I think it's Dancing Bells.
Was
Is
that on Netflix show?
No, well, I think they're on Netflix now, but they started off on like I think Oxygen or Lifetime. But I used to watch that show a lot, where it's like a really popular dance instructor, cheerleading coach from Atlanta, and it was just nothing but young black women, and they was winning competitions. But mind you, like black cheerleading competition is a little different than like white cheerleading competition, where it's more like it's more like HBCU style. Like even though they're doing flips and tumbles and stuff like that, they're not necessarily doing full like aerobatics, like throwing people in the air and stuff. And a lot of them don't have male cheerleaders. It's mostly just a female cheerleading squad. So it's a little different.
I didn't even know that there was a separation of black cheerleading competitions or like HBCU style competitions and white cheerleading competitions.
Yeah.
You see, I don't be knowing shit. Except how to review a movie.
So we did put in here about the group Black because I was actually curious. I was like, what happened to them? Because they had a few hits. Like, I actually liked them for a hot second. So supposedly after the film premiered, they appeared in Honey, the dance film Honey.
No, one of these days we're gonna have to do something with all these dance films because I got something to say about Honey. I got so much to say.
I used to love Honey. Like that ending, the ending charity performance. I used to love that.
I watched it as an adult. And then I was like, yo, we need to talk about Honey. We need to talk about Step Up. We need to talk about Served. We need to talk about all this shit.
You Got Served was good.
We'll talk about it. Talk about it.
But the best scene of all time, what's the name of that movie with Chris Brown and where he dies in the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, they kept showing us the trailer.
That's how they got us in the movie theater.
Was that
what was that movie called? That's crazy. I can't remember.
Was it Stomp the Yard?
Stomp the Yard, yes.
Stomp the Yard was good.
Stomp the Yard is one of the best dance performance films ever, in my opinion. That scene where he slid on like his head, basically.
Yeah.
That was one take.
Well, Chris Brown was in that movie and not in You Got Served.
You right.
I'm just saying.
Even though B2K was getting it and You Got Served, they was getting their little dance moves.
I feel like we need to talk about it now. Because you know how people are kind of like, back in the day, God, I don't want to get in trouble. You know how back in the day, we used to be like Chris Brown, Omarion.
Yeah.
Now, we watch Omarion dance, it's kind of like, huh.
I'm not going to say nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. About it one day. And we definitely need to talk about Honey, and we definitely need to talk about Channing Tatum's ass and Step Up.
Oh. Channing could do no wrong to me though. That's the issue with him.
Channing could get his own episode because those Magic Mike movies need a discussion too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not the best dancer at all, but for some reason I'll keep watching.
It's because he's white.
And I'll keep hoping he gets better. You know, like every time.
But
wait, what's the last thing you said?
I said it's because he's white. And lower bar for what rhythm looks like in that community.
You're right. I am more accepting.
Exactly.
Because if it was a black man dancing like that.
Oh, when I go to white parties, my non-rhythm having ass is the belle of the ball. What? I start dugging. You know.
No, you're a lot better with your rhythm now. You've caught the rhythm. You caught the beat. Now.
But if I go to a white party versus a black party, I'm Chris Brown at a white party. I'm Julia Stiles in Save Last Dance. There's a difference. We have a different tolerance level in different settings. So it becomes different.
Okay. So sorry, let's continue. So Black, basically, they broke up after several failed album releases. Well, they actually weren't able to release like 2 albums. So they disbanded in the late 2000s, and then they tried to make a comeback. But unfortunately, one of their members, Natina Reed, had an accidental death in 2012.
I had read about that. That was really sad.
Yeah. And then they tried to drop an album in 2019. Or they did. Wait. Yeah, they did drop an album in 2019. So, yeah.
And then we got, of course, Kirsten, who, I mean, I think her career took off. If she was already on, though, because she did Virgin Suicides was, I don't know if it was a cult classic or if it was just a classic, but that's a great movie.
Yeah, but I think they were saying like right after Bring It On, she got the Spider-Man joint and she was playing Mary Jane. So it's like once you do Spider-Man, like a comic book film, like your career is going to take off.
And the Tobey Maguire movies were not the bad ones. Like those weren't bad. So it's not like she had Spider-Man franchise either. But it looks like she did Virgin Suicides 99, did this in 2000, and
she was on a run.
She was a hit maker. This is like fucking Fetty Wap when he was bro. Yo, that guy was undefeated in like 2010. I'm just saying. So she kept going, and it looks like she did Fargo, Drunk History. What's funny is, I think of all the fun facts I learned about Kirsten Dunst, is that she's married to Jesse Plemons.
That's my nigga. Like he's a great actor, and I feel like he's underrated.
Jesse Plemons is fantastic, and I first saw him in Breaking Bad, and I thought he was amazing in that. My thing though is I had no idea he was married, because to me, Kirsten Dunst is like up there as far as like actresses go. She was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like she's been in some great shit. I think she picks her roles really smart. So to find out that Jesse Plemons, who is also a great actor, but it's Jesse Plemons.
But yeah, you don't see it at first.
I don't ship them together.
Yeah.
I don't know what started that conversation or how they ended up together. But she's married to Jesse Plemons, so whatever.
They're living well.
They are.
Is all we can say.
And I don't got the money that they got or the awards, so fuck it.
So for Gabrielle Union, after she did Bring It On, she did, several other roles, but obviously one of her big roles was Being Mary Jane, where she was a lead in a television show for many years. I really like Being Mary Jane. We definitely need to rewatch that as adults, though, because I was watching that when I was a teenager.
I actually don't think I finished Being Mary Jane, and I feel like it was super like dramatic, and
it's very dramatic. I feel like she was very toxic. Like that's all I remember.
I just feel like it was a lot going on, but I've heard people say nothing but like good things about it, I guess, for the most part.
I also remember that it correlated a lot with her actual life, with her trying to get pregnant, because in Being Mary Jane, she was going through IVF and stuff like that, and we know that's what Gabrielle Union went through to get little Kavia. So there are like parallels with that. And then what else? I mean, we know that she's an actress, award winning. We know that she's an author. She has 3 books out. And then she married Dwayne Wade in 2014, and they both advocate for LGBTQ rights for their daughter.
I was explaining that about how I was explaining how I looked up to Gabby Union and D Wade because of the way they handled their daughter's transition.
Mm-hmm.
Zara or Zaya Wade? Zaya Wade, I think. But I think that the way they handled the transition on it was Zaya, on a mainstream scale. And I actually used it to teach DEI and explain how Black people can be better allies to the trans community. And Wade was talking about how they were getting he started to realize it was a big deal when he realized trans kids were unaliving themselves and that dealing with bullying. And he said that even in the face of people bullying him as an adult heterosexual cisgendered man, they were bullying him because what are you doing? Why are you supporting that? You're sick.
Yep.
Gabby, you're sick. And even in the face of all that, they stood 10 toes down, supported Zaya the entire time. I mean, I supported Zaya. They supported Zaya in her name change, all of that. The appropriate pronouns. And I think it took a lot. I think it takes a lot in general for anyone to wrap their head around, gender identity and things like that, because it's a lot of unlearning. But I think it takes even more for a Black man coming from a hyper masculine sport like basketball.
Yes.
And the masculinity that comes with that to stand beside their daughter in that transition. So I've respected D Wade and Gabby Union as allies of the LGBTQ plus community, because it's not just posturing, it's not just performative. Stood beside their daughter in the face of a lot of criticism, even as them as parents, them as people, them as whether or not they were being predatorial and all these theories and nasty work that was going on. I've always respected them for that, and I've always respected D Wade for that specifically, because I know it comes off differently when it's again, a cisgendered male trying to wrap their head around something like that.
Oh, for sure. I definitely respect them for it as well. I like to think I have no idea about anything about these people in real life, but I would like to think that his coming to terms with Zaya and her transitioning might have been made a little bit easier, because Magic Johnson has dealt with this with his son EJ. I don't know what they go by now, her, him, or whatever pronouns, but yeah, I assume that he probably reached out to Magic Johnson to have those conversations. But Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade have talked about it also, about how it was a little bit difficult for him at first, but I'm just really proud of the both of them for being able to come together and be a united front, where it's not she supports him and he doesn't, at least they're a united front. So I do appreciate that.
And even that full circle moment, Gabby talking about how important diversity was at the beginning of her career, and that moment of seeing her again stand by what she says. Again, we don't know these people. We don't know what goes on in their personal life, even though Gabby does tell us quite a bit. But we don't know them. But I do like that at least she seemed consistent across time. If diversity was important in the beginning of her career, watching her support Zaya in that transition, even in this day and age, I just appreciate her consistency. And I'm sure that I have no doubt in my mind that she was probably super supportive immediately and was helpful in D Wade wrapping his head around the transition as well. So I have appreciated that. Gabby probably needs her own episode, because even when I was thinking about this being kind of a lead, Mary Jane being a lead for her, I thought about how many supporting roles she's played in It Girl, kind of, in the 90s, 2000s. Because
most definitely.
She's All That, 10 Things I Hate About You. She was in Two Can Play That Game. She was in, I don't know if she was a lead in The Brothers. She was in Deliver Us from Eva. All these great, I think she's had a great career, and she's been really entertaining, especially in the Black community and Black film and television. But I don't know that we highlight Gabby as much as we do other people. And I don't know if she comes up enough in conversation for my liking, because I deserves a lot more for the career that she's had.
Valid points. Yeah. So You guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. This is our relaunch episode. We are finally back doing the podcast. So please give us grace because we starting from the bottom, y'all. As you can see, if you are watching, you can see with these backgrounds, you can hear with this audio. We getting it together. But the thing is to be consistent. The thing is to be consistent. So that's the goal right now. But if you are in the New York area, we are doing trivia nights in person. We're doing our first one, which is an insecure trivia night happening. Well, this episode won't be out, but we're having it in July. And in August, we're doing an Abbott Elementary episode trivia night. So definitely make sure that you guys come. Check out our Instagram and TikTok for more information. And hit up our newsletter. Sign up for our newsletter so we can send you more information about our events. Super excited for those. And we're going to be doing them once a month. So, all right, until next time, love always.